Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 3rd of February. So, what's in store today then? News-wise, we've already seen the Australian data coming out here, and interest rates were increased as expected to 3.85. That's seen the Australian dollar rally this morning. Aside of that, today we haven't got a great deal here. We've got the job openings later. These tend to create a bit of volatility when that data comes out there ahead of the non-farm payrolls, and we got at 9:45 employment data for New Zealand, so quite a long way away from that. So the main data really has happened, and then we got, as I say, the job openings will potentially create some volatility. Right, so a quick look through these currencies. There's some good news if you're a gold bug this morning. I would just say that in advance. But anyway, so the euro dollar, it's just run out to the time frames here. I mean, it came off quite sharply on Thursday, Friday, Monday there. We're seeing a bit of a bounce at the moment now. This bit of a bounce looks to me like a bear flag still at this stage. However, it might be a bit of wait see, but wait see yesterday would have given you a nice bit of movement on the euro there towards the short side. It eventually broke the lows there after a lot of sideward action. 1 o'clock-ish time, it triggered off there, moved a reasonable amount there, at least a 1.5 return on the risk that had been needed. From where we are at the moment, well, I'm just sort of looking at this. There's many ways of trying to get into this, but personally, I'd like to see if this is going to reverse and continue to the downside, I'd like to see something relatively soonish to breaking this trend line, and I'll wait for the break of the trend line, the close below the trend line, and see if I can jump aboard there, even if it's just a run down towards the S1 there. We'll see how things shape up, but as of ever lately, we do see these really quite flat mornings, so any sort of fake out in the morning might be overlooked. The pound. So looking at the pound here, and well, I mentioned the bounce there yesterday. It hadn't happened, but it eventually happened there into the pivot. We were way back at that stage, and eventually we got the bounce off the monthly pivot. Again, bear flaggy looking on this time frame here. We got the lower high confirmed already on the 4-hourly picture there, and just coming down the time frames. Really, a break below the pivot would be the only thing interesting for me on this at the moment, potentially. It just at the moment they could be reshaping themselves back up to where they were sort of heading back before. This may have just been a short-term bit of reaction, profit taking, fear, whatever it might have been. Let's run these markets through. On the bigger picture, they had been heading up very, very steeply though, and it becomes a bit of the wall of the worry, and then the people eventually get in, and then suddenly the market collapses a bit and everyone panics, and you get a lot of panic selling, etc. But you've got to remember that as I said, with the euro and the pound here, if you go right back out here, we're really were getting quite stretched in terms of historical numbers where we'd been sitting, so it shouldn't be a great shock to see price action around these levels. Obviously the dollar is doing the inverted version of these. Anyway, so at this stage, really for me, not really interested on the short side unless it gets back below the pivot there. US dollar yen, and I'm not interested in the long side whilst it's looking all bearish at this stage. US dollar yen up to the pivot there yesterday, but not really done a lot more. It's sort of it's filled its gap, etc. It didn't move a massive amount yesterday in the end, relatively to what we'd been seeing lately. It's just not not looking wonderful. Again, an afternoon trade may be on a bounce here. We'll see how it starts taking off back towards its pivot, looking at the inversion of the markets here, i.e. it's the US dollar yen as opposed to the yen US dollar. So a move up here would be seeing weakness for the further weakness, which, as I say, I'm looking at that against these markets at the moment, because they are in bearish flags sitting across. So this one not so clear, but one thing with the yen here is at some point, I mean, as it got up to here, there was talking about it being too weak. If it gets back up to there, I'm sure that will repeat itself, but we'll see. Anyway, Australian dollar, this seems to be where the money's flowed. It's really back to where it was last week, before that little spike out there. Bit of a flash move, pushed out, pulled back within, and it's looking quite solid at the moment. Strong price of gold coming back through is helping the case. The higher interest rates, the market has approved of that, and well, higher lows, higher highs at the moment, so it's looking quite solid when everyone's still cutting. They're increasing their rates again. US dollar CAD, this had been doing extremely well until Friday and Monday. At the moment it's developed this again, and another little old bear flag here sitting. Bear flag, bull flag in this case, beg your pardon. I'm thinking of it for the dollar, don't worry. Oh, sorry, Canadian dollar. At this stage, a reversal later, midday-ish, is possible to the upside there towards the R1. That's what I'd be looking for at the moment. Right, that's pretty much it there on the Canadian. Yep, New Zealand dollar. Don't know really why I'm looking at this, although it's really following the case of the Aussie, really. Not a great deal here. No, I'd prefer to be trading the Aussie anyway, as opposed to the New Zealand. So not a great deal else there. The cross pairs are still sort of shaking it a little bit. The Australian pairs, or Euro Aussie, for example, here finally, well, kicked off again yesterday, a little bit breaking back through the pivots there, but took a while to actually happen. But it's continuing in this bigger trend that it's been sitting in for some time. But those markets, well, they're there, but it's just getting in them at the right time. Right, other markets then, gold. So up 5.5% this morning, making a reasonable reversal. Now it's back into the underside of its new monthly pivot. It'll be interesting to see the reaction to this. The weekly pivot is above, so it could be a draw still beyond that, and we could see a bit of a continuation. What I like on the shorter time frame here is the higher low that's confirmed into this, suggesting, well, that has bottomed out a little bit and it's potentially got more upside. Logically, if the panic sellers have come out, you've probably got the bigger money thinking, well, the actual move of this price action, if I chuck a regression trend in there and just pop in something from back here to that high, there was the actual trend of what was going on, and we're sort of back above the central point of that. The actual trend, it may just slow up a little bit here. It was very aggressive as it was running. Everyone was starting to panic they were missing out, and then panicked, oh, look what it's doing to us. Anyway, looking at, as I say, looking positive at this stage. And silver is up nearly, well, it's up $9% rather. It's getting there. Now this took a steeper incline through January, but again, at some point this could catch up. If I'm being a bit lazy and just take a near-term lowish, or say some low down that way, and the highs up here, whoops, roundabouts, you can see, look, it's a badly drawn one. Let me pop it back one. Yeah, back two. It's not good. Try it again. There we go. There we go. So it's just above the mean. The actual mean price action is where it's sitting at the moment. So it's not too much of a panic in the bigger scheme of things. It's got really quite overbought realistically. Anyway, we'll see how that drifts up. I'm not necessarily a buyer of it yet. It has, with gold, started putting in higher lows here. It's a little bit slower. It's just run into the 50. Back above the R1s here. It could be a bit more interesting though. Right. Aside of that, equity markets, S&Ps, 0.3 this morning. A little bit of cheer coming through. Solid day yesterday. Reversal coming through every time you think that's it then, and it looked really quite bitty yesterday. It manages to do something a little bit more positive, and has turned around. I think the key was when I was looking at the DAX just wasn't going to reverse around in the morning when I was looking at it. I'll come back to that in a moment, the DAX, but FTSE at the moment, well, solid day there yesterday, making all all-time highs even, if I can say that. Completely breaking out of this range. It was looking a bit bearish there yesterday, but holding around the highs, and off it's gone. The DAX didn't want to play on the short side yesterday, as I said. It literally continued and pushed up there through all the pivots here, etc. Didn't stall at all, so didn't give me what I wanted on the short side for a continuation. So well, this at the moment really just waiting for retracements, and maybe for the buy side. Okay, that's pretty much it for me this morning. Not a great deal going off at the moment, but there's some potential. As I said, we'll just watch the likes of the euro there for the potential. I'll bring this back in. Let's just see how it reacts this morning. Give it an hour or so. If it starts rolling over here, it could be on for a continuation. It might take more than an hour or so, the way these markets have been going. Anyway, I'll leave you there. Have a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.